Hello and welcome back to another RiftGuides WildRift video. Today we're going to take a look at some lovely new champions skin. It's Karma. And for our question of the day, what do you think of the new Karma skin? Let me know in the comments below. In this game, I'm going to play Karma Caitlyn into Rakan and Ziggs. Worthy of note is I'll have Bone Plating and Relic Shield, the cookie cutter starting itemization and runes for Karma. Important is that the enemy cannot play into us, so even if the Rakan jumped into my face level 1, he would immediately die because I could just put a point into my second ability. So I can play very cocky and just bait the enemy as much as I want. So the Ziggs walking up to me is getting immediately punished. He is not allowed to do so. There's nothing they can do. Maybe, just maybe my Caitlyn could have gone for the kill there, but it doesn't matter too much. Ideally here, we just keep on bullying them and just make sure that they know that they can't play. Ziggs has to always use spells from maximum range because otherwise he risks dying. Doing so forces him out of XP range and just generally makes life really difficult for him. What I should not be doing is getting hit obviously by Rakan's first ability because it grants them some healing. When you're laning in bot lane or dragon lane, it's very important for you to always check if the enemy has bone plating. Just give them one auto attack before you do anything to see if they have this bone plating, because otherwise most of your damage will just go into bone plating. And if that happens, most of the trades you have will be most likely lost. Here I'm trying and hoping that the Rakan is jumping into me, but he sadly isn't. He just doesn't do anything, which is the correct play by him. He is playing it very well considering that his Ziggs has been running it down, and there's not much he can do. Like anytime the Rakan tries to do anything, he will get basically killed. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, it doesn't matter. The only time where you can do something is level 5 or if we grief. So you see he jumps into us and now it's just time to attack the enemy. My Caitlyn is spacing too far away from the get-go and just chooses to just not do enough. Like we could have played this differently and more aggressively. So the enemy would have probably most likely died, but it's completely okay since we didn't die. But as you see, mages in the early game have a very big problem, and if they space wrongly, they'll just get punished. Same goes for Rakan. He is a very weak laner. But you usually don't pick Rakan for laning phase anyway. Every time you reset from Dragon Lane as a support, you should always try to look and see what is happening somewhere else. For example, my Pyke here needs to go base and he wants his wave to be cleared. The Wukong is trying to make a play and he just gets punished. But you see my Pyke has ultimate, so why is my Pyke trying to jump back in when he just knows I could just alt attack the enemy until he can ult? As a consequence now, he steals the possibility of getting stacks. But I'm just here to just soak additional experience, and that's just what I want to do. Like, I just get the XP here and enjoy my time because my Caitlyn is chilling in the Dragon Lane. Nothing is happening, so I just want the solo XP, which is really helpful. With the Pyke coming back, I can just clear the minions really fast, get my stacks rolling, and leave immediately after. Not much for me to do. With the wave in place bot lane and my Urgot also being there, I can just walk into the riverside and do whatever I want, maybe even go for deep vision, doesn't really matter, but I can just walk into their face. They can't really do anything about it. And if they're getting too close, I can just get them killed. With all these spells hitting, things look very dire, and if this wouldn't happen the way it did and the enemy didn't use the spells they had, they would have ended up dying. And it's just a very simple thing, just using the concept of space and just generally movement on the map to get advantages for yourself while your AD carry is safe, unless he chooses to die. But can we take a second to simply admire this skin's beauty? Like the effects, everything, it is just straight up gorgeous. And here I'm just hiding in the brush, hoping that the enemy is committing to a mistake, but sadly, they're not. Also a little secret. Caitlyn's traps stop movement. So if Rakan is using his second ability into you, you'll get stopped by the trap. Or if somebody's trying to jump into you, like these traps will always stop movement. Same for Jinx traps. Something you have to get used to and have to use in your gameplay to just be a better player. Now we have the first biggest power spike for Karma, the Luden's Echo. This item is the best starting item that you can have for your first item. Nothing basically compares to this. But there's one thing we have to talk about when it comes to like itemization in general. I'm an advocate for the pen build, but nowadays it's very possible that just going for Liandry second and then Void Staff third is really something you need to consider, because people get really tanky, and by the time you have your third item, which is very late, you already want pen and maximum HP damage. But what you can also do with Karma is placing your spells in a way that the enemy cannot move through them. So if they have to run away, you can aim your first ability's empowered ability right above them, so they have to walk through it, so they're slow to take damage and take more time to get past it, while you also place your ultimate in a way that they cannot flash away from. It's just a beautiful champion that is way too unbalanced and needs to be nerfed, in my opinion at least. Another thing that is very important for like Caitlyn as a general, Caitlyn wants to dominate lane. She wants to abuse the enemy during the laning phase as much as possible, similar to Karma, and then just snowball the game. It's very important that you understand that waves are very, very, very helpful for you to do this. Whenever your AD carry has the opportunity to just get a freeze close to his tower, it's the prime time for you, because you're unshackled. And another nice combo with Karma Caitlyn is if you root the enemy with your second ability, the Caitlyn can just put a trap on top of them and get them killed, because the bonus damage is just absurd. If they get hit by your second ability, which is a guaranteed hit unless they flash, they will get hit by the trap as well if the Caitlyn has proper spacing, and then things get really problematic. There's just not much they can do about it, because they'll just get killed from just all the damage that is available. You see that the Wukong is, running around with my teammates down there, but it's just not worth the time to go there. You see how many platings we get? Here I tap my E, but I don't drag it. I don't know why it didn't work, but I obviously emote just to showcase, well, if you died, it's my mistake. But yeah, the Rakan is trying to be absolutely crazy, and even if he ignited, he would have still died. And yeah, I just don't know what he tried to do, but he gave me some lovely money. I give my AD carry some money with Relic Shield, so we're all happy. Funnily enough, this is quite the big mistake, because I actually forgot how much money Liandry's Torment is, so I cancelled my recall to check the item's value to then recall again. That is a huge tempo loss which can cost you a lot. But generally speaking, now, the best thing for me to do is just sit mid lane for a few moments and just take the wave if my teammate doesn't want it, or go for free kills. Like, whatever doesn't put me in a situation where I can potentially die is good enough for me. And then I just basically dominate people with all the spell damage I have. Because even now, with just Liandry's on 2 items, it's quite a lot of burn damage if you consider my low cooldowns. In the past, when Liandry's was even better as an item, where slowed enemies would take double the burn damage, Liandry's second was such a powerful item on Karma. When I played her at that time, I always rushed its second item because of the sheer damage and just tankiness you gain from this item. Now it's sadly a bit different. Now obviously Liandry's is a scaling item, and you usually won't get to the point where you have full items on a supportive Karma. But as long as you have this item like Luden's in combination with Liandry's and then go for a Void Staff, you will deal a lot of damage with consistent first ability hits on enemy champions. Which is a huge difference, because otherwise you can believe, what about Rabadon's Death Cap? Yes, Rabadon's Death Cap is an idea, but the issue is Amaranth Twin God is in the game and people will have high magic resist. So let's say they have 120 magic resist and your damage will be reduced by like 55%, a little bit more, a little bit less. Then Void Staff, cutting the pen short, allowing you to deal probably 20% more damage in direct comparison. I don't have the values at hand right now. Will do more for you than having a Rabadon's Death Cap, because don't forget, spells also have base damages, and burn damage from Liandry is based on enemies' max HP. So if they have 2000 HP, your Void Staff is probably going to do more than your Rabadons at this point. Nonetheless, adding Rabadons to your build when you have a Liandry's is mandatory, because the more AP you have, the more damage you will deal. just generally speaking for Karma, it's something you have to consider if you can't go for the pen build because the enemy isn't squishy enough. Now, let's quickly talk about a very important thing as a support. When there's nothing to do on the map and side waves are really terrible, what you can do is you can either clear them yourself if you have the capabilities in terms of champion for it, or you can direct your teammates to go to them and clear them while you're close to them to just get your economy rolling. You need to have gold if you want to do something. I see so many support that just have no gold at all and just refuse getting gold because they always stay out of range of the gold behind people, or rather behind the AD carry who is already behind. You also need gold to be functional. Some champions need less, some champions need more. For example, Lulu is already very good with an Ardent because she buffs her allies' damage by so much. But a Karma with just one item at the point where people have 3 is just not gonna do anything. And this is something you really need to start doing. You need gold. But damage-wise, like, do you see like the Liandry's ticking all the time on multiple people consistently? And especially if anti-healing comes into play, and this is very important, the Liandry's will keep on reapplying the grievous wounds from your Oblivion Orb, which then grants it even more value, because the enemy cannot just heal up in downtime, because there's less healing due to the time involvement. Unfortunately here, my lovely Caitlyn technically could have saved me if she used Exhaust on the Yone, or Yone, and didn't go into stasis, because then I could have Mantra shielded her, and she would have survived, and I wouldn't get tagged, but well, it is what it is. It's still better that only one of us died, but I think both of us could have lived. Nonetheless, it's just something you can always improve in certain situations. As you see, I'm just asking, hey, maybe exhaust so I live, smile. But for Karma, for the biggest or the most important combo for a Karma is, generally speaking, the empowered second ability into your ult, into your first ability, and you can already aim your meteor on the enemy champion to get things done. All of your spells will always hit, and your ultimate will always empower the next ability you use, so if you start the combo with empowered or with an empowered ability, you'll have another empowered ability after using your mantra. That way, things get substantially easier. If you also think about the time or the times you apply Liandry's onto the enemy, there are plenty of times where you'll do so because there are so many spells in your kit that have a relatively low cooldown. Many people also don't really know that Wukong or any stealth unit is getting revealed by your second ability. For example, what you can also do is, if you're going close to brushes, you can spam your second ability, and by doing so, and if you see that it's lighting up and you can use it, you know somebody's in that brush. If the person goes stealth like an Akali or a Wukong, it doesn't really matter because you'll reveal them anyway. It's just something you can do or help yourself with if you want to have like the edge on the enemy. Because this will help you spot them and not get caught off guard if you're checking things over walls, because you can still, like, if you clear vision, for example, in the middle area around brushes, you can go closer, and if you go close enough to have this feature light up, you will then be able to safely check if something is going on, and if you see that your spell is tagging other people, you can blast your entire combo into them and take away all their HP. It's really helpful. And generally speaking, even as a Karma, if you were to blow all your cooldowns into the enemy champions, as long as you use your entire combo with an empowered second ability, ultimate, empowered first ability, meteor, you will deal so much damage that it's obviously, well, most of the time already good enough to decide to fight even if you happen to die. Nonetheless, please don't just suicide for fun in game, because it's really troublesome if it happens, because you are not a Brand. Brand is entirely a different story in terms of damage. Your champion, however, has very low cooldowns and is very obnoxious in the form of utility and poke damage. But now going back to the game, Karma as a champion, again, you are very dominant during the laning phase. You can set up kills absolutely for free without any trouble, and you're crazy strong in 2v2 because you can determine if somebody's getting rooted or not. Also, very cool is that enemies are getting punished if their allies are doing something bad. Because how her second empowered ability works is, you shoot out your little leash onto somebody, and this leash will attach to another person close to that person, and if they can't break the bond or the bond with you, then they will get stuck and get killed at the same time. You see, people jump you, and there's still so much damage they take. There's constantly burning for damage. And constantly, while they're trying to kill you in the downtime of your cooldowns, your carry can just beat them up. Theoretically speaking, Caitlyn is not in a very good place given the meta of the game, but in solo queue you can snowball games so unbelievably hard that even the weaker champions will shine absolutely greatly. In this game also, you will see that I won't get towards the Rabadon's point, or very likely not getting towards the Rabadon's point, because I need the anti-healing in my inventory, and I will not have enough money to sell my support item. For supports, this is kind of a rule of thumb. The moment you have all your items accumulated in your inventory, you need to wait until you have enough gold for the fully completed item to sell your support item to then buy a real item. Because this real item will outvalue your support item unless you believe that there will be a fight in which your enchantment reset upon killing people will help you. But usually speaking, if you already end up killing someone, then you probably won the fight, and therefore the reset on the enchantment won't matter too much. But again, you see there's so much burn damage all the time, while also reducing the enemy's healing. It's absurd. And even look at this little Ziggs. I'm walking towards the Ziggs, Q flashing onto him and taking away his entire HP. I'm a support, by the way, and I'm not even going for the absolute full pen build. I am just a little poke demon that is constantly annoying enemy champions, also trying to basically maneuver my teammate around what I want them to do by taking this inhibitor. With 3 inhibitors down, it's very unlikely that the enemy team is getting anything done. And you see again, the entire zone control my champion basically exerts over the enemy champion while constantly chipping away at their HP and keeping champions on a leash. If you master the spacing with Karma, you will realize that this champion is so busted. You can put them on a leash and run away from them, and they can never ever reach you, and all they can do is wait until they get rooted or try to escape. If they don't get you killed in the time, they will, if you have your ability fully maxed, get rooted for 2.25 seconds. That is like a Morgana binding, you won't move. And when that happens, obviously the first instance of the spell will apply Liandry's and the last instance as well, and then you have other abilities on top. So there's so much time in which Liandry's will deal damage to you and your teammates. It is absolutely bonkers given the meta we are going into. Another thing, for Karma players, you always want blue. Without blue, you will run out of mana even though your spells cost barely any mana, but because you're spamming them. For Karma, it's very important to understand that you want to cycle your spells to always have a mantra available. So let's say I use my mantra on this wave, I want to use my other spells again to get another mantra which I can then use to fight. I usually don't want to use a mantra on just one minion, I just want to use mantra on a full wave, and then it's completely free. And here we see that the Wukong didn't leave because I put him on a leash, so we knew he didn't go stealth. And then afterwards, we saw his little ghost thing pop up from the Liandry's damage. So Liandry's helps you in multiple ways, revealing people, while you also have your second ability to help you reveal people. It's a pretty neat of an item. And yeah, that's basically it. Karma is a super broken champion, super easy to play, and you should definitely play her if you want some elo. See you in the next video.